Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 2 of the Halloween craft countdown, where I'm sharing 20 brand new Halloween themed paper crafts with you in 20 days. As yesterday's project was very big, I thought we better bring it down a little bit for today's. And we've got this beautifully detailed wizard layered paper craft for today. Here he is in a little bit more detail, and I've used some gold metallic card to give him a little bit of shine in some details. While it's not strictly Halloweeny, I guess, really, I've been asked for a wizard design so many times that I thought it was about time we finally get one created. Let's get started. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the Halloween Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Halloween Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. Or purchase just this design at craftwithsarah.com/products. To find the designs from this countdown, click into the Occasions filter and choose Halloween. The designs will appear here each day once they become available to buy. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project. Then go to Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the download folder, and within there, look in the 01 Cricut version folder. If you're using a Silhouette or a Scan & Cut or a different type of machine, head to craftwithsarah.com/help for separate videos on which files to choose. But for Cricut, it's nice and easy. We'll go into 01 Cricut version, and then there's one file in there which starts SVG-01 in the file name. Click and drag it in, and this is what it should look like. Press Continue. You don't need to change anything on this screen. Press Upload. And then it should insert the file automatically onto your canvas. If you get this pop-up on the left, you can close it by clicking the arrow that appears about halfway down the page. This design loads in at a nice size to cut, which is 8 1/4 inches tall and just over 6 inches wide. Because there are lots of thin details in the cloak, I don't recommend going too much smaller than that, but you can certainly go bigger. To resize, click on the design and look at the width and height boxes at the top of the screen. Make sure the padlock icon is closed, and then you can change either the width or the height. For example, we could go 10.5 inches tall, and then the other measurement will change in proportion. If you're going to make it smaller, I recommend 7 inches as being about the smallest to make this particular design, unless you're feeling particularly adventurous with your cardstock cutting, in which case you could maybe go a little smaller. I'm going to cut mine how it loaded in, which was 8.25 inches tall. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press Make over on the top right. That will separate out all the colours for you. You can change the paper size in the drop down here. And then if you want to, you can click and drag the shapes about to use up less space on your cardstock. Just make sure that nothing overlaps, otherwise it won't cut out properly. You'll need to go through and change each colour individually. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press Continue to connect to your Cricut machine and then follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut from your cardstock. Here are all of the pieces of my wizard cut out and ready to be stuck together. I've laid them all one on top of each other following the assembly guide that's included in the download folder. This part here will go right at the very bottom to fill in the moon and stars in the front of his cloak. I'll be putting this together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I'm using is Barely Art Glue, but I also like Collal. The reason I like these two glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. To add dimension to the design, I'm using foam squares. These ones are from Dot & Dab and they're 2mm thick, but any will do. If yours are larger, you may need to cut them smaller with scissors so that they'll fit into the different areas in the design. As with all my layered designs, we're going to start at the bottom and then work upwards. So I'm going to move all the pieces apart, trying to keep them vaguely in the right order, seeing as I've gone to the effort of putting them in place. For example, I can move all of the head out the way as one. I'm now left with just this bottom piece in black, and we need to add the gold over the holes in the bottom. So turn it upside down, get your glue, and go around the holes. Oh, just noticed that little star hasn't quite come out. There we go. Go around the holes with a little bit of glue. Don't get too close because we don't want the glue to smush into the gaps. About there. Might go just a little bit in that big gap. And then stick your gold part, or yellow part, whatever colour you've cut it, over the hole. If any of the glues come out and it's not covered up by the oval, then wait for this to dry before carrying on. Otherwise, when you turn it over, it will stick to your work surface. But mine's good, there's no glue coming out, so I can turn it and carry on straight away. The next piece to go on is this one with the mandala details in the bottom, and this will be glued on top. The barely art glue is nice because it comes with a really thin nozzle on the bottle, which means I'll be able to get it into these details quite easily. If your glue doesn't have a thin tip, you can buy needle tip applicator bottles to put it into. That's what I do with the Kalal glue because that comes with quite a thick nozzle on the bottle. You can normally get them in packs of about 9 or 12 bottles on Amazon for about £5, so they're quite affordable. Which is good, and it's easier than I thought to pour the glue out into them. But for barely art glue, you don't need to worry about any of that. So I'm going to try and get the glue in some of these details because otherwise, if there's nothing there sticking it, I worry that it might catch when I'm working on the rest of it or when I'm putting it in the frame, and it might tear. There we go. Ooh, can't pick it up. Line that up. And then gently push down. You don't want to push too hard, especially around the mandala. You don't want to smush that glue out onto the black underneath. Being very, very gentle. The next layer is this one in the lighter purple. My purples are quite similar, so it's a little bit hard to tell, but hopefully you can see a little bit that that's a different colour. This one is a foam square layer. Turn it upside down and add your foam squares to the back. I've got some that I've cut in half with scissors. I'm going to use in the tiny areas like his hand, the star on the top of his hat, and these little bits in the side of the hat. So try and get your foam in all the sticky out bits, as well as a good amount on the rest of the design. Make sure you don't put any over any of the edges or into any holes in the design, otherwise you'll be able to see the foam once we've put this all together, which we don't want. Now I've got all my foam squares on, I can peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. I've got a little dish where I put in all the little tops of the foam squares to keep them all in one place. I used to just balance them on the edge of my desk, but the amount of times I knocked them onto the floor was a lot of times. A dish is much easier. If you don't have a little dish, you could use a mug, something like that. Now my foam squares are nice and sticky, I can get this in place. I'm going to line it up and then gently drop down. The reason for being quite gentle here is that if I wasn't happy with the positioning, I can pick it up and move it because it hasn't stuck yet. It's just gently laid on top. But that looks pretty good. So I'm going to push down to stick. Next up is this detail layer that puts the lines in his arms, and this one will be glued on. If you can, try and get a little bit of glue in all of those thin lines. This one's a little tricky to put on because it's not joined at the bottom. Next up is this darker purple, which, oh, I've got it caught, will be glued on. Then we've got the next detail layer in black, also to be glued. Next is the final coloured layer of his cloak, and this one will be done with foam squares. Push down and stick. And then the last detail layer to be glued. I've smushed my glue out a little bit here. I'll run my fingernail down it to tidy that up. That's the body all done. So now you can either move on to the head or the staff. It doesn't matter which way around you do it. I think I'm going to do the head next. We got the black bit, which will go on, and this one will be a foam square layer. Next up is his face to glue on. Then his beard also to glue. I'm trying to decide if I want the front of his hat to be foam squared or glued. Very torn. I think you could do either. I think glue would look better because it's closer to the back of the hat, but foam square will raise it up a bit and give it dimension. Decisions. I think I'm going to go with glue. But I will add a tiny bit of foam square for his moustache. And another teeny tiny piece for the star in his hat. There's supposed to be a little line of the lighter purple that goes along the top of the hat. I'm looking at my desk and I can't see it anywhere. So I think I've managed to lose it somehow along the way. So what I need to do when I've finished everything else is go ahead and just recut that tiny little strip. But as you'll probably have yours, that would just be glued along the hat, kind of where it meets the brim to help separate it out. Alright, let's do the hand on this side with some foam squares. There we go. And then his staff. Start with this one with foam squares. Then we've got the solid brown to glue. I know it seems a bit of a shame that we put all of that arm piece in just to see his thumb, but I tried it with just having a little bit and it was really hard to put in place, so this kind of worked out a little bit easier. And then we've got this one to glue. Fingernail to the rescue, clear off the excess glue. Then the front of his hand will be done with foam squares, or just one tiny foam square. And the bottom layer of the orb on the top of his staff also foam squares. And finally, the top detail will be glued. And there we have it, our majestic, magical Halloween wizard. All finished. Well, mine's nearly finished. I still need to add the strip on the hat. But apart from that, he's all done. I like the little shine of the touches of gold. But if you've used just regular coloured cardstock, it will still look absolutely beautiful. There's loads of depth and dimension in him. And he's now all ready to display for Halloween. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make this wonderful wizard paper craft. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 3 of the Halloween craft countdown. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!